Hey guys, and welcome back. I know I'm wearing the same shirt as I did at the end of the last video, but I have showered and I have washed this. Anyway, we have a little bit of a bummer video to make, and I'm very sad that I have to talk about this because it sucks. But let's get into it. I still have to do some fun snake stuff, but I will talk to you, so let's just roll. So there was this new motion regarding not just reptiles, but a lot of animals. If it's, chickens or ferrets, birds, and a lot of other stuff, but also reptiles included. So that's what I will be mainly focusing on here. But they have come up with something. And let's talk about it while we take a look at the puff adders. These guys haven't been featured a whole lot lately. I've been so preoccupied with all the new arboreal stuff, but they need a bath. Because I keep saying this every time. The classic strike at the hook. He thinks it's food, but once you realize it isn't, it's alright. But yeah, they have come with a lot of new ideas. And coincidentally, doing this, which is a great way to make sure your snakes drink. It can help them with constipation, stuck shed, mites. Yeah, you cannot do this anymore. You cannot, quote unquote, forcefully give your snakes a bath they cannot get out of unless you're talking to a vet. And it's pretty... never seen her move so fast. But yeah, it is pretty ludicrous to have to involve a vet every time your snakes have a stuck shed or is constipated. You kind of know that stuff by yourself already. So why would anyone want to waste the time of you, your vet, or your animals? Doesn't make any sense at all. But remember, I'm just easing you in here. So that's one of the least crazy parts. Some other stuff is actually really good. Like, you kind of have to decorate in a naturalistic way and really try to replicate their natural environment where they are native. And I think that's good, because there's a lot of bad keepers out there who, just throw stuff together. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I am doing as much as I can. Like, I feel like this enclosure, you could potentially buy that this is a piece of jungle from Vietnam or Thailand. Sure, I'm not super happy about this, but you still have all the climbing stuff and you have live plants and yada yada yada. So I'm all for that. Husbandry should be something that we take serious, and yeah, I can actually vibe with that. And also there will be a law. I mean, if this all passes, there will be a law that every reptile has to have UVB. And I mean, I'm not totally against that. By the way, we really have to miss this guy, because if I can see, yeah, he's hiding his little face there. But he's deep in shed, his eyes are very opaque. I can vibe with UVB being a requirement. I had plans to go that route anyway, so for me personally, I don't care at all. Like, some reptiles absolutely require UVB, like a lot of like lizards and turtles and stuff. Snakes mostly don't, but you know, it's still beneficial for them, so yeah, okay, I can vibe with that. So some of these changes are good, but some of these rules are downright crazy. Like, one of these new rules is like, oh, you have to do everything to make them display their natural behavior. Like, if it's an animal that digs, it gotta have the option to dig. If it's an arboreal animal, it needs stuff to climb on, yada yada yada. All very good, but then they smack pretty much every lizard, frog, or turtle, tortoise people in the face, because they have decided, well, you cannot feed live insects anymore. And does it make sense to any of you? Like, I know some of my viewers, they have reptiles and they have lizards and stuff like that. So I just want to ask you guys, does any of your lizards, frogs, whatever, do they eat dead insects? No. They are triggered by movement, of course. And that goes completely against this whole, you know, natural vibe and natural behavior, because that's completely unnatural. And I mean, they have apparently come up with some new research that, well, they do experience stuff, insects I mean, they do experience like feelings in some sort of capacity. But tell me, should we, because of that, should we take a cricket, for example? They normally live for around 10 weeks. 10 weeks, remember this, 10 weeks. That's nothing. Like, there's 52 weeks in a year. 10 weeks is nothing. But compare that to like a lizard that can live up to 15 years. Do we care more about the lizard or the cricket? I know it's a question about ethics and everything, but we cannot let these animals starve. Like, they implement all these rules for the well-being of the animals, which they of course don't. But we are supposed to not be able to feed them, the most basic requirement. No, that won't work at all. Yeah, by the way, this one is starting to sprout, all the branches and stuff. That's pretty cool. And the pothos And this little plant is doing amazing in here, so some good news at least. Yeah, you guys know nothing lives in there. I just keep it alive. But anyway, they have like really ridiculous ideas, and like this whole insect thing is probably the most ridiculous of them all. I'm gonna say hi. Hey. Yeah, I'm gonna come in here and mist. But another really crazy thing is their new size requirements. I had to take some notes about this, but right, you know, if you have a turtle that is 16 centimeters long, which is, yeah, it's about, I don't know, 7 inches, something like that. You know that they require a living area of 4 square meters. And if we go the simplest route, that means it has to be 4 meters long, 1 meter deep, or 13 feet and just over 3 feet deep. 13 feet long. Like, of course, you can make it shorter, but then you have to make it wider. This is just the simplest way of displaying these measurements. 13 feet for like what, 6-7 inch turtle? Does that make sense? How do you even find that thing? Like, how will you be able to monitor their general health? Because you will spend more time looking for it than actually seeing it, and makes feeding super hard. Not to mention that who has that amount of space? And do you not guys know about Stenodactylus, the micro geckos, which is about 7 to 10 centimeters or 3 to 4 inches? Yeah. Did you know that with these new requirements, they cannot live in this enclosure? This is a 4x2x2, or 120 times 60 times 60 times 60. And this enclosure is, it's just too small for a lizard that big. Like, how does that make any sense? And by the way, if you have a terrestrial snake that is 2 meters, 200 centimeters, which is, I don't know, 7 feet, something like that, you need, first of all, if it's a terrestrial snake, it needs to be at least 5 feet tall, which, okay, for a boa, I can vibe with that, because they are semi-arboreal. They do climb. But take something like a false water cobra. You know, they get around 7 feet or 2 meters, and they are terrible climbers. But they do require 5 feet. But they also require 7 square meters, which, if you make it simple, that would be a 7 meter long enclosure with 1 meter of depth, or almost 23 feet. 23 feet. Like, take a look at this room. This wall behind me, yeah, this is just shy of 5 meters. So it's not quite 5 meters. So you're telling me you need an extra 7 feet, or 9 feet, because it's not quite an exact 5 meters. Like, does that make any sense? I've asked that question about a zillion times now, but stay with me. I am super upset about this. Like, who will be able to keep these animals? Like, if this would pass today, I can guarantee you that every reptile owner in the entire country of Sweden would be an outlaw. And sure, being an outlaw sounds very fun if you're in the Wild West. We're not in the Wild West. We are just a group of people who has a certain love for a certain type of animal. And this is nothing new. This is a witch hunt. It's the only thing you can classify this as. It is a witch hunt. They really, really, really want to make it impossible to keep these animals. And they can't ban anyone from keeping them. So their idea is to simply make it impossible for people to keep them. Like, I don't know about you, but I can't say I know a lot of reptile people that are filthy rich, who lives in super large mansions and can follow these new ridiculous requirements. And as I said, this is not specific to reptiles. Like, there's so many other people, like the chicken community, which in any other situation the chicken community would sound fun, but not now. The chicken community are outraged. People with rabbits is equally outraged. There's been newspaper articles and all that already. Like, this is what, 2 days or something? Yeah, I think it was 2 days ago. They came up with this little thing, and these are just suggestions so far. This, at the moment, this do not apply. But they gave us a generous amount of 3 weeks to fill out the official form, to complain about it, or, have your own opinions about it. So I know a lot of people have already done that. And if there's anyone in Sweden, I don't think you can, these are Swedish websites. So yeah, I think this only applies to people in Sweden. But if I have any Swedish viewers, I will drop the link down below in the description, where you can go and fill out the official. Well, first of all, read it. So read what they say, and I will, post in the link I'll post. You will be able to read everything, and you will also be able to fill out a form. And there's also a petition going around, which I will also link in the description. So please, if there's anyone in Sweden, I would be so happy if you could, do that. Just read through everything, fill out the form. It's like, you can fill out various answers like, oh, I completely agree, I agree somewhat, I don't agree, or whatever. You can have a little comment. You don't have to fill out the comment, but those points, about space requirements and everything, if you do feel a certain way, please write your feelings. And don't use like a bad language or whatever. Be as polite, but also try to make sure that your disappointment, anger, whatever, that you get your point through. And yeah, I'm sorry that this is just like a rant video, but this is really important, like for all reptile keepers in Sweden. Like I've already seen some ridiculous comments about, delete everything from social media, don't show that you have these animals, because they will never be able to check everyone out. And like, first of all, I don't really think they will look through your social media. Like, who would take the time to do that? It's just, yeah. And second of all, like I keep venomous snakes. Like, that I keep venomous, and to be able to do that, I need a permit. So for me, there is a paper trail. Like the county, they issued it, so they probably have a copy of it. And my landlords, they have a copy of it. So anyone who's got a permit would be an easy target. And not to mention, there are several counties around where you need permits in general just to keep snakes. Like, even if you have like a corn snake or a ball python or whatever, you will have to have a permit. Like, it just goes like that in some counties. So these people will also be really easy to track down. And also, if like your neighbor or something, if they report you, you're done for. Like, they will know that you have, like, any of these animals. Like, even if it's birds or reptiles or whatever, if someone reports you, they will have to come check it out. So it's not as easy as just going underground, which is something I don't want anyway, because like, the only thing that will do is create like a massive black market. Everything will be, first of all, illegal, and I don't want to do this illegally. I want like expos to continue, and like, who would go to an expo if everything is super underground? Like, will there even be expos? Because no one will be able to get these animals because of these ridiculous demands. So the only thing we actually can do is face this as a community, as a group, and just face it head on, and like put our feet down and say, no, this cannot happen. This is disastrous. Like, again, with the chickens, like, they will have ridiculous, like, measurements for their like coops and stuff. And like, people can have like pretty large chicken coops and also have like a full backyard to roam. But that doesn't count because it has to be, you know, the roof. Even if it's just a place where they stay when they sleep. And yeah, it's insane. And the same goes for rabbits as well. Like a lot of people keep rabbits. They're outside and like year round. They love it. You know, they don't care if it's raining or snowing or whatever. They have the option to go in and out freely. I guess they have some sort of like those kitty doors that's flappy. And they choose to spend 99% of their time outside, no matter the weather. But that doesn't count for these guys. They simply want to make it harder for everyone. And if this goes through, it will be the death of keeping animals. And you know, these chicken people who like they have these free range eggs which they, you know, kind of sell to people. They don't even make money of it, by the way. Like if you're a hobby keeper, like they don't even make any money selling eggs, but people come and buy them, and yeah, it's very nice. Like, why alter that? But on the same time, like industrial situations, no changes at all. They can cram chickens in, and instead of living for years and years and years, they might live for, you know, maybe 2 years tops, and produce, you know, a bunch of eggs. Like, yeah, completely insane. But those people, nah, they're fine. They can do whatever they want. Horses, no. You know, cats, dogs, nothing. But people who keep animals on a hobby level, like even as a breeder, like if you breed your animals and get more than 2, you know, batches or clutches or whatever per year, you will need to be like trained somehow in, you know, like the same kind of training that a zoo shop would, which like people who've been breeding for like 30 years, do you honestly think they have that kind of training? I can assure you they don't. But they know better than most people. But yeah, they can't do it anymore. And like it's very rare to actually make any real money. People don't really get rich from breeding reptiles or anything. But it does provide them with, like, the whole animal situation they have is kind of self-running, you know. The money they get from selling animals, they put back into the animals, whether it's, you know, feeders or better enclosures or whatever. But yeah, just strip that away. But if we're being a little bit selfish here, what does this mean for me? And what does it mean for the channel? Well, it essentially means that this channel will die. Like, I would be forced to sell, like, not all the animals. Like, I could keep, like, probably these guys. But, you know, the cobras, they would have to go. Can't keep them. Take up way too much space. Like, if this guy gets as big as they can get, well, we're talking about those 7 square meters. Which, I mean, realistically, even if I didn't do this 7 meter long and just made it from wall to, well, window, I guess, it will still have to come out like this much or something. So half the room would be an enclosure for 1 snake. And I mean, first of all, that's just too much space to sacrifice. And, you know, look at it financially. It's crazy expensive. Like, how would I ever be able to afford that? Like, I just wouldn't. And neither would a lot of other people, because it is not cheap. And these guys, I mean, they get a reasonable size puff adders. And I have two, so I need to accommodate for some extra space. But yeah, they would probably have to go as well. Like, I wouldn't be able to provide them with any massive enclosures. Like, I don't want to keep them in. Sorry, camera was overheating. But as I was about to say, I don't want to keep these guys in a small enclosure. Like, I mean, just look at this. This is a lot of space for them. Still have to make it nicer though. But the amount of space I would have to have for them, it's just too much. And you know, this gal, she's small now, but that's a species that gets pretty big. Like, not quite 4 feet, but almost. And you know, would I be able to provide that? I mean, I had this enclosure eyed out for her a long time ago, but it would be about as wide as this. This is a 170 centimeters. It's, I don't know, 5.5 feet maybe, a little bit more, I think. Yeah. So if this law is passed, I won't be able to keep pretty much anything anymore. And if I can't keep, you know, these animals that I have, and like I wouldn't be able to continue with YouTube. Like my whole goal was to, you know, build a large, varied, interesting collection, you know, with various, you know, habitats and all that, showcase as many of these beautiful animals as I can. But if I can only have like, what, 4 or 5 snakes, I wouldn't be able to continue doing this. And like, you know, my brother, West Bay Reptiles, description, link in the description, he's facing the exact same thing. Oh, sorry, camera keeps overheating. I'm just too eager to get everything out. So but like I was saying, my brother is in the same situation. He would have to get rid of, you know, a lot of his animals, and he doesn't have a lot of animals right now to begin with. And I know that he's been struggling to come up with, you know, good content and variation and everything. So if we are both in the same situation, like, it would be no point. It would take away everything that is fun and, you know, good, you know, with YouTube. So yeah, we would probably, you know, keep a few animals, but it would be only for our own enjoyment. I mean, which is how we have done it most of the time we've kept them. Like, we've only been doing YouTube for a year, and I have to say that really sucks. I mean, I would still enjoy having them, like, no issues at all. but sharing everything with you guys on YouTube has given this so much more enjoyment. Like I get excited to, you know, be able to show you, you know, all the animals and what we do with them. Sure, we do, like both me and my brother, we both do a lot of behind the scenes stuff or off camera stuff, whatever you want to call it. Like sometimes it's just nice to hang out with your animals alone without a camera, but you know, starting this YouTube channel has honestly been one of the best decisions I've ever made. Like it's so fun. And I know we're small channels, we don't make any money, we don't have a lot of followers or, you know, subscribers, but we know people watch the videos, we know people get excited about this stuff. I mean, I wouldn't start YouTube without watching other people do YouTube. Like it's, you know, somehow you get like part of that. It's like, it's my animals, but in a way it's your animals too. Like you watch and you like the animals, and yeah, it's a crazy feeling. I don't know how to describe it, to be honest. So if this law passes, this whole dream will go down in flames. And a lot of people's biggest hobby, or, you know, an extra source of income, or, you know, whatever, it will just go away. And, you know, a lot of people, they turn to these, you know, non-normal animals because, in a way, it's so much simpler than having a cat or a dog or, you know, whatever. And, you know, people with kids, they can grow up appreciating these animals, and they can learn that not everything has to be, you know, soft and cuddly. You can love something with scales, or, you know, feathers or whatever, and they really want to take that away. And like they take away a chance for people to care for animals, which is something that is super important to a lot of people, me included. Like I love doing this. Like I love taking care of the snakes. Like sometimes, of course, it's gonna feel more like a chore than something that I actually enjoy. But, you know, we all have those kind of days. It's only human. So yeah, I am scared. I'm genuinely scared that this will happen. I really hope that it won't. But the possibility is strong. Like if we don't manage to just do it. And I mean, like I said, this is a witch hunt. And it's so crazy because they're making it so obvious. Because they have refused to talk to, you know, herpetological, you know, groups. And they have talked to like activists instead, and completely disregarded people with actual experience and expertise, because they know they would never agree to these crazy demands. And, you know, that makes me so sad. And I am tired that the reptile hobby worldwide is, you know, people do so much to shut us down. Like no matter if you're a content creator or just a hobby keeper or a breeder or whatever, the reptile hobby is constantly under fire. And I am so sick of it. Imagine if they came after horse people like this. Like, it would be crazy. Like, you would never stop hearing about it. But, you know, the reptile people or the bird people or whatever, we're small groups. So it's so easy to just run us over. But yeah, I have ranted for a while now, and I bet you're pretty sick of hearing me talking. And I'm not even sure I got everything out that I wanted or needed to say. I just wanted to bring attention to this, all right? And hopefully we can come together to stop it. And I am gonna leave it at that. The fight is not over. We still have until like April 9, I think, to formally complain about this. So please do that if you are in Sweden. But until next time, because we still have a few next times even if this goes through. I love you guys. I love your support, and I'll see you guys on the next one.